Hello, I'm Joanna Moore, a 45-year-old country singer from Nashville, Tennessee. Or at least, I used to be. 2 decades ago, I was a star at the Grand Ole Opry, my voice filling arenas, my name lighting up every country radio station. But I gave it all up to raise my daughter, Lila, pouring my heart into teaching her the music I loved, hoping she'd carry on my legacy. I never imagined that the little girl I sang to sleep every night would one day steal my most cherished song and frame me as a fraud, shattering my world in a single morning. It began like any other day in my modest Nashville home. I stood in my kitchen, the morning sun streaming through the window, glinting off my old coffee maker as the familiar scent of Maxwell House filled the air. I sipped my coffee, savoring the warmth, and turned on my vintage record player. The needle dropped, and Tennessee Lullaby, the song I wrote for Lila the day she was born, filled the room. That song was my soul, my legacy, a piece of me I'd clung to through years of sacrifice. I smiled, thinking of my comeback. After 20 years away, I'd just finished a new album, Echoes of Home, a love letter to my journey as a mother and my roots in Nashville. The album was a hit, and I'd been invited to perform at the Grand Ole Opry, a dream I thought I'd lost forever. I couldn't wait to tell Lila. At 22, she was struggling as a musician, playing gigs at small bars, but never breaking through. I'd taught her to play guitar, poured my soul into her dreams, hoping my comeback would inspire her. I pictured her in the front row at the Opry, her eyes shining with pride as I sang. I reached for my phone to text her, but an email notification stopped me cold. The subject line read, "Notice of copyright transfer, Tennessee Lullaby." My stomach dropped. I opened the email, and each word hit like a dagger to my heart. The copyright to Tennessee Lullaby, my song, my legacy, had been sold to Starlight Records for $500,000. The seller, Joanna Moore, my daughter. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen, the coffee mug slipping from my grip and shattering on the floor. The sound of breaking glass echoed, but I barely heard it over the roaring in my ears. "Lila, how could you?" I whispered, my voice breaking. Before I could process the betrayal, my phone buzzed again. An Instagram notification. Lila had posted a video titled, "The Truth About My Mother." I clicked on it, my heart pounding, and there she was, my little girl, sitting with the guitar I'd given her for her 16th birthday, tears streaming down her face. "Everyone thinks my mom, Joanna Moore, is a saint," she said, her voice shaking. "But the truth is, she faked an illness to get sympathy, to keep me in her shadow. She's a fraud, and I can't live with her lies anymore." The video already had thousands of views, comments flooding in. "Disgusting. What a liar. Cancel Joanna Moore." I felt the air leave my lungs, my knees buckling, as I sank to the floor. I called Lila, my voice raw. "Lila, why would you do this? That song was ours, and I never faked anything." Her response was ice cold. "Mom, that song was a burden. I needed the money, and I'm done being compared to you. You deserve this." She hung up, leaving me in silence. The rain starting to fall outside, its patter mixing with the stuck needle on the record player, as if the music I loved was drowning with me. Within hours, my world collapsed. My record label called to cancel my contract. The Grand Ole Opry performance was scrapped. Fans who once adored me turned their backs, branding me a fraud. I sat in my darkened living room, staring at my old guitar on the wall, the scent of Maxwell House now bitter in the air. It reminded me of the nights I'd sung Tennessee Lullaby to Lila, her tiny hand in mine, her laughter filling our home. Now she'd sold that memory and painted me as a monster. But as the rain pounded harder, a fire ignited in my chest. Lila had betrayed me, but I wasn't the fraud she claimed. I'd sacrificed everything for her, and she'd taken it all. My song, my reputation, my legacy. I clenched my fists, whispering to myself, "Lila, you've gone too far. I'll take back what's mine, and you'll regret the day you crossed me." The rain hadn't stopped since that morning, its relentless drumming against my window, mirroring the storm inside me. I sat in my darkened living room in Nashville, the bitter scent of Maxwell House lingering in the air, a cruel reminder of the mornings I'd once shared with Lila. My phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, hate comments, articles, and messages from old friends who now believed I was a fraud. Lila's Instagram video had gone viral, her tearful accusation that I'd faked an illness to keep her in my shadow spreading like wildfire. The comments were brutal. Joanna Moore is a liar. She doesn't deserve to be on stage. What a terrible mother. But that wasn't the worst of it. Starlight Records had already released a new version of Tennessee Lullaby, my song, the one Lila sold for $500,000 without a shred of remorse. A young pop country singer named Casey Lane sang it, her voice polished but hollow, stripping away the soul I'd poured into every note. The song shot to the top of the Billboard charts, but my name was nowhere to be found. Starlight had erased me, replacing my legacy with a shiny new package, and the world was eating it up. I turned on the radio, hoping for a distraction, but there it was, Casey's version of Tennessee Lullaby, the melody I'd written for Lila, now a stranger to me. I slammed the radio off, my hands trembling, the ache in my chest unbearable. Lila, meanwhile, was thriving. She'd signed a contract with Starlight Records, her face plastered on Country Music Today, with headlines like, Lila Moore, the new voice of Nashville. She appeared on a morning talk show, her smile radiant as she spoke. I had to escape my mother's shadow. Joanna Moore held me back, but now I'm free to be the artist I was meant to be. The host nodded sympathetically, and the audience applauded. I watched from the tiny TV in the bar where I now worked, my apron stained with beer, my voice reduced to singing cover songs for tips. The patrons whispered as I passed, "That's Joanna Moore, the fraud who faked her illness." I kept my head down, but inside I was screaming. I'd landed this gig at a dive bar in Lower Broadway just to pay the bills after my record label dropped me. The Grand Ole Opry had canceled my performance, and my comeback album, Echoes of Home, was shelved indefinitely. I was a nobody again, scraping by on $20 tips while Lila basked in the spotlight she'd stolen from me. Every night I'd sing old covers, Patsy Cline, Dolly Parton, my voice cracking with the weight of my heartbreak. I'd look out at the half-drunk crowd, their eyes indifferent, and think of the days when I'd sold out arenas. Now I was a punchline, a cautionary tale, all because of my own daughter. But then a glimmer of hope, or rather a spark of rage, came in the form of Jenna, an old friend from my Opry days. She showed up at the bar one night, her face grim as she slid into a booth and motioned for me to join her. "Joanna, you need to see this," she said, pulling out her phone. She showed me an email chain between Lila and a man named Victor Kane, a producer at Starlight Records. My blood ran cold as I read Lila's words. "I'll sell my mom's song, and I'll make sure she can't come back. She doesn't deserve the spotlight. I do. Let's make her the villain." I gripped the edge of the table, my nails digging into the wood. "She planned this," I whispered, my voice shaking with fury. "She didn't just sell Tennessee Lullaby, she wanted to destroy me." Jenna nodded, her eyes fierce. "Victor's in on it too. He's got a reputation for exploiting artists. But Lila's no victim here, Joanna. She's his partner in this. They wanted to erase you so Lila could take your place." The revelation hit me like a freight train. I'd thought Lila's betrayal was born of desperation, a moment of weakness driven by her struggling career. But this was calculated, cruel, a deliberate plot to bury me. I thought of the nights I'd stayed up late, teaching her chords, cheering at her first gigs, sacrificing my own dreams so she could chase hers. And this was how she repaid me, by selling my legacy and framing me as a fraud, all to steal my spotlight. I stood up, my hands clenched into fists, the bar's dim lights casting shadows on my face. "I gave her everything," I said, my voice low and dangerous, "and she took it all. But I'm not done, Jenna. I'll find a way to expose them. Lila, Victor, Starlight. They'll regret the day they crossed me." Jenna placed a hand on my arm, her voice steady. You're stronger than you think, Joanna, but you need proof. We'll get it. And when we do, you'll take back what's yours. I nodded, a plan forming in my mind. The rain outside had slowed to a drizzle, but the storm inside me was just beginning. Lila thought she'd won, but she didn't know the fire she'd ignited. I'd take back my song, my legacy, and my name, and I'd make sure she paid for what she'd done. The neon lights of Lower Broadway buzzed outside the bar, casting a faint glow through the grimy windows. As I wiped down the counter after another long night, my hands moved on autopilot, but my mind was racing, replaying the email Jenna had shown me. Lila's cold words to Victor Kane, the producer at Starlight Records. Let's make her the villain. My daughter hadn't just sold Tennessee Lullaby to boost her career. She'd orchestrated a plan to erase me from the music world entirely. The betrayal cut deeper than I'd ever thought possible, but it also lit a fire in me. I wasn't going to let Lila and Victor win. I'd take back my song, my legacy, and my name, no matter what it took. I knew I needed more than an email to prove their conspiracy. Lila's public accusation that I'd faked an illness to keep her in my shadow had already turned the world against me. I needed hard evidence, something undeniable to expose them both. So, with Jenna's help, I hired a private investigator named Mark, a gruff man in his 50s who'd worked on music industry scandals before. He met us at a diner off Music Row, the kind of place where the coffee was cheap and the jukebox played old Johnny Cash tunes. Mark slid a folder across the table, his voice low. "You're not gonna like this, Joanna." Inside the folder were transcripts of phone calls between Lila and Victor, obtained through a contact at Starlight. I read the words, my heart pounding. "Joanna's a has-been," Lila had said. "She'll never recover from this. I want her gone from the industry for good." Victor's response was chilling. "Don't worry, kid. Once we release the new Tennessee Lullaby, no one will even remember her name." Mark also uncovered that Lila had forged documents to sell the copyright of my song, a felony that could land her in serious trouble. But the most damning piece of evidence was a recorded conversation where Victor bragged about his history of exploiting artists. "I've done this before. Find a desperate kid, promise them fame, and take what I want." Lila was easy. She handed me Joanna's legacy on a silver platter. I gripped the folder, my knuckles white, the diner's fluorescent lights flickering above me. "She's not a kid," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "She's my daughter, and she knew exactly what she was doing." Mark nodded, his expression grim. "You've got enough here to sue Starlight for the copyright, but if you want to take Lila and Victor down publicly, you'll need to play this smart. They're banking on you staying quiet." I looked at Jenna, her eyes fierce with determination. And I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to stay quiet, not anymore. I decided to confront Lila face to face, to see if there was even a shred of remorse in her. I drove to Starlight Records studio in downtown Nashville, my old guitar case in the back seat, as a reminder of who I used to be. The receptionist tried to stop me, but I pushed past her, storming into the recording booth where Lila was laying down a track. She froze when she saw me, her headphones slipping off as the sound engineer scrambled to pause the session. "Mom, what are you doing here?" she snapped, her voice sharp, but her eyes flickering with something. Fear, maybe? I held up the folder, my voice steady, despite the storm inside me. "I know everything, Lila. The forged documents, the calls with Victor, your plan to destroy me. You think I'm a fool." Her face hardened, and she crossed her arms, her tone dripping with venom. "You're pathetic, Mom, clinging to a song from 20 years ago like it's your whole identity. I'm the star now, and you can't handle it. Get out." I stepped closer, my voice low and dangerous. "You sold my legacy, framed me as a fraud, and thought I'd just disappear? You've made a big mistake, Lila. I'm coming for you. And Victor." She laughed, a cold, hollow sound that sent a chill down my spine. "You're too late. Starlight owns Tennessee Lullaby, and the world hates you. You're nothing." But as I turned to leave, I saw her glance at the folder, her confidence faltering for a split second. She knew I had something on her, and that was enough to fuel my next move. Back at my apartment, I sat in the dim light of my desk lamp, my old guitar resting beside me. I needed to hit Lila and Victor where it hurt most, their public image. I decided to organize a small concert at a local venue, a place where I'd played in my early days, and live stream it on YouTube. I'd use the platform to expose their lies, to tell my side of the story. I wrote a new song, Steal My Song, pouring every ounce of my pain and anger into the lyrics. You took my melody, my heart, my name, but I'll rise from the ashes. I'll play your game. I recorded a teaser of the song on my phone, my voice raw and powerful, and posted it online with a caption. Lila, you stole my song, but I'm taking it back. Join me live this Friday. The teaser went viral within hours, racking up thousands of views, comments pouring in from fans who'd never stopped believing in me. Joanna, we're with you. Expose her. I watched the numbers climb, my heart racing with a mix of fear and determination. Lila and Victor thought they'd buried me, but they'd underestimated the strength of a mother scorned. I was ready to fight, and the world would be watching. The air inside the Bluebird Cafe was electric, the small venue packed to the brim with fans, some old, some new, who'd seen my teaser video on YouTube. The live stream was already live, the counter ticking past 50,000 viewers. As I stood backstage, my old guitar slung over my shoulder, the weight of it grounding me. My hands trembled, not from nerves, but from the fury that had been building since I'd uncovered Lila and Victor's conspiracy. Tonight wasn't just about taking back Tennessee Lullaby. It was about taking back my life, my name, and my legacy. Lila thought she'd buried me, but I was about to show her, Victor, and the world that Joanna Moore doesn't go down without a fight. I stepped onto the stage, the dim spotlight casting a warm glow over my face, the crowd erupting into cheers. I adjusted the mic, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. Thank you for being here tonight, I began, my eyes scanning the audience, then glancing at the camera, streaming live to thousands. I'm Joanna Moore, and I have a story to tell, a story of betrayal, lies, and a song that was stolen from me. The crowd hushed, hanging on my every word. I held up the folder Mark, my private investigator, had given me, its contents a ticking time bomb. My daughter, Lila Moore, and Victor Kane from Starlight Records thought they could erase me. They sold my song, Tennessee Lullaby, forged documents to make it legal, and framed me as a fraud to destroy my reputation. But tonight, the truth comes out. The crowd gasped as I pulled out my phone, connecting it to the sound system. I played the first recording, Victor's voice, smug and calculating. Once we release the new Tennessee Lullaby, no one will remember Joanna's name. The second clip was Lila, her tone venomous. I want her gone from the industry for good. The audience erupted, shouts of "Shame on them" and "Justice for Joanna" echoing through the room. The live stream chat exploded. Hashtags like #Justice for Joanna and #Lila exposed, trending on Twitter within minutes. I could feel the momentum building, the tide turning in my favor. But I wasn't done yet. I strummed the opening chords of Steal My Song, the new track I'd written to channel my pain. My voice rang out, raw and powerful. You took my melody, my heart, my name, built your throne on my shame. But I'll rise from the ashes, I'll play your game. You'll never steal my song again. The crowd was on their feet, clapping and cheering, some wiping tears from their eyes. I poured every ounce of my heartbreak and rage into the performance, my voice cracking with emotion as I sang the final note. The applause was deafening, but I held up a hand, signaling for silence. I'm not here just to sing, I said, my voice now sharp as a blade. I'm here to fight. That's when the doors at the back of the venue burst open, and Lila stormed in, her face a mask of fury. The crowd turned, murmuring as she pushed her way to the front, her eyes blazing. "Mom, stop this!" she shouted, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and panic. "You're ruining everything. You're embarrassing me in front of the world." I stepped down from the stage, meeting her gaze head-on, the live stream camera capturing every second. "Embarrassing you?" I said, my voice icy. "You sold my song, forged my signature, and told the world I faked an illness to hold you back. You wanted to erase me, Lila, but you failed." She flinched, but her defiance didn't waver. "I did what I had to do," she spat, her voice rising. "You were always the perfect Joanna Moore, the star everyone loved. I was nothing in your shadow. I deserved that spotlight, and I took it. You're just jealous because I'm better than you ever were." The crowd booed, their anger palpable, but I didn't let her words shake me. I'd raised her, loved her, sacrificed everything for her, and she'd turned that love into a weapon. I leaned in close, my voice a low growl. "You're not better, Lila. You're a thief and a liar, and now everyone knows it." I turned back to the audience, holding up a USB drive Mark had given me. "This contains proof of Lila's forgery and Victor's history of exploiting artists. I've already sent copies to my lawyer, the press, and the Nashville district attorney. Starlight Records will answer for this, and so will you, Lila." Her face went pale, her bravado crumbling as the reality of her actions hit her. The crowd roared with approval, but I wasn't finished. I climbed back onto the stage, picking up my guitar. "This is for every woman who's ever been betrayed, who's ever had her dreams stolen," I said, my voice steady. "This is for me." I launched into Tennessee Lullaby, my version, the one I'd written for Lila all those years ago. My voice soared, filled with the pain of betrayal, but also the strength of survival. The crowd sang along, their voices a chorus of support, the live stream counter now at 100,000 viewers. Halfway through the song, I saw Victor Kane slip into the venue, his face contorted with rage. He tried to push through the crowd, shouting, "Stop this! You'll regret this, Joanna." But security grabbed him before he could reach the stage, dragging him out as the audience cheered even louder. When the song ended, the room erupted into a standing ovation, tears streaming down faces in the crowd. I looked out at them, my heart pounding with a mix of triumph and exhaustion. But then I turned to Lila, who stood frozen near the stage, her eyes wide with shock. "You thought you could bury me," I said, my voice carrying over the mic for all to hear. "But I'm still here. You've lost everything, Lila. Starlight will drop you to save themselves, and the world knows what you did. This is the price of your betrayal." As security escorted Lila out, her head bowed in shame, I saw the live stream chat flood with messages. "Joanna, you're a queen. Lila got what she deserved." I knew Starlight would have to return the copyright to Tennessee Lullaby to avoid a legal nightmare, and Victor's career was over. I'd won this battle, but the war wasn't over. I'd taken back my song, but I needed to rebuild my legacy, and I'd do it on my terms. The fallout from the Bluebird Cafe concert was seismic, rippling through Nashville and beyond like a wildfire. The live stream had reached over 200,000 viewers by the time I stepped off the stage, and the internet was ablaze with support for me. Justice for Joanna trended worldwide for days, with fans sharing clips of my performance of Tennessee Lullaby and the damning recordings of Lila and Victor. The Nashville District Attorney's Office moved quickly, launching an investigation into Starlight Records for copyright fraud. And within 48 hours, the label caved under the pressure. They returned the copyright to Tennessee Lullaby to me, issuing a public apology that was plastered across every music news outlet. Victor Kane was fired, his reputation in tatters, and whispers of a class action lawsuit from other exploited artists began to surface. He'd never work in this town again. Lila's fall was even more dramatic. Starlight Records dropped her faster than a hot coal, canceling her contract and pulling her debut single from the airwaves. The media turned on her, with headlines like "Lila Moore, the star who stole her mother's song," dominating tabloids. She tried to salvage her image with a tearful interview on a local news channel, claiming she'd been misled by Victor. But the public wasn't buying it. The recordings I'd played at the concert were too damning. She'd been a willing participant, not a victim. Her social media accounts were flooded with hate, and she deactivated them within a week. I heard through Jenna that Lila had taken a job at a karaoke bar on the outskirts of Nashville, singing covers for tips, a far cry from the stardom she'd chased at my expense. I should have felt triumphant watching her crumble, and part of me did. She'd sold my song, framed me as a fraud, and tried to erase me from the industry I'd built my life around. She deserved every consequence. But as I sat in my small apartment, the morning sun filtering through the window, a cup of Maxwell House in my hands, I felt a pang of something else: grief. I'd raised Lila, loved her with every fiber of my being. And despite everything, a piece of me still ached for the little girl who'd once held my hand and sung Tennessee Lullaby with me. A week after the concert, she sent me a letter, her handwriting shaky. "Mom, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I let jealousy and ambition blind me. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say it." I read the words, my throat tightening, but I didn't respond. I'd fought too hard to let her back in, and some wounds cut too deep to heal. I folded the letter and tucked it into a drawer, a reminder of the cost of betrayal. With Tennessee Lullaby back in my hands, I re-released it under my name, the original version, the one I'd written for Lila all those years ago. The song soared to the top of the Billboard charts, reclaiming its place as a country music classic. And this time, my name was front and center. The Grand Ole Opry invited me back, and I performed to a sold-out crowd, the audience on their feet as I sang the final notes of Tennessee Lullaby. I looked out at the sea of faces, tears in my eyes, and felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I'd taken back my legacy, and no one, not Lila, not Victor, not Starlight, could ever take it from me again. But I didn't stop there. The fight had changed me, lit a fire I couldn't ignore. I used the momentum to launch Lullaby Haven, a small music studio in Nashville, dedicated to helping women over 40 chase their dreams in the industry. I taught songwriting workshops, mentored aspiring artists, and created a space where women like me, women who'd been overlooked, betrayed, or told they were too old to shine, could find their voice. The studio became a beacon, drawing women from across the country, their stories of resilience echoing my own. One evening, as I watched a 50-year-old woman named Clara strum her first original song, her hands trembling with pride, I felt a warmth I hadn't known in years. I'd turned my pain into purpose, and that was a victory sweeter than any chart-topping hit. I stood on the porch of my new studio, the sun setting over Nashville, a cup of Maxwell House in my hands. The scent no longer carried the bitterness of betrayal. It was a reminder of the mornings I'd spent dreaming, fighting, and rebuilding. I'd heard Lila was still at the karaoke bar, her dreams of stardom shattered, but I didn't gloat. I'd won, not by tearing her down, but by rising above her. I'd reclaimed my song, my name, and my place in the world, and I'd built something new, something no one could ever steal. As I sipped my coffee, I whispered to myself, "This is my legacy now." And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. A singer, a mother, a woman who'd fought and won, not just for herself, but for every woman who'd ever been told her time was up. As the sun dipped below the Nashville skyline, I stood on the porch of Lullaby Haven, my heart full, knowing I'd turned betrayal into a beacon of hope. I've learned that even when those closest to you try to tear you down, you can rise stronger, reclaim what's yours, and build something greater. For every woman out there feeling overlooked or broken, know this: your story isn't over. Your voice matters, and it's never too late to sing your song. What would you do if someone tried to steal your dreams? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your stories, or just let me know where you're watching from. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button for more tales of resilience and redemption. Let's keep the music playing together. If this story resonated with you, don't just keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful stories, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters, and I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.